welcome to the third episode of Bellas Trailblazer Series. Woohoo! A weekly series throughout Women's History Month where we highlight Latina trailblazers who have excelled in their respective industries. As you may know, we are live via Facebook and at BronxNet TV Studios. Woohoo! I am your host, Patricia Bello. Today, it is an absolute pleasure to welcome a Latina and Dominicana who has worked in the financial industry for over 18 years. Yes, 18 years. She is a director in Global Corporate Investment Bank responsible for managing Latin America and European large corporate multinationals based in North America. Everyone, please join me in welcoming Patricia Pacheco de Baez. Patricia, thank you so much for joining us today.
No, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being here this afternoon with you and with all of you to share my story, my career story.
And this is what we want to hear. So tell me, corporate, global, finance, talk to us and break that down to us.
Sure.
What is it that you really do, right?
So I'm basically a corporate banker, which is a relationship manager, and I'm responsible for the Latin American and European multinationals based here in North America. So basically companies above $1 billion in annual sales. And they're companies that have been acquired by headquarters outside of the U.S. And their intent is to be here, to have a presence in the United States and Canada, to grow. And my job as a banker is to provide them financial services of Bank of America to support them proactively in order to help them grow here in the States and in Canada.
So that sounds like you have to travel. So I'm just imagining, right? That sounds like you have to travel a lot. That sounds like a fun job, although it's stressful. But tell us a little bit more of your day-to-day.
Yes. Definitely, I do travel a lot given the companies, the headquarters are based in Latin America, as explained, and also in Europe, but also in the States. They're all over the States, so they're not just in New York. They're also in Houston, in Dallas, in Florida, in Miami, in Tampa, absolutely in every possible state across the country. So in addition to traveling and meeting my clients face-to-face and learning about what they do, and proactively trying to understand their needs, right, to support them. I also make sure that I have a lot of internal meetings, day-to-day meetings with my internal colleagues. So my role is basically, we can call it as a quarterback. So I'm the quarterback inside of Bank of America, and I bring all the specialists in the company to bring those solutions to our client. So I first meet my client and understand what they're looking for, and then I bring all the specialists, the experts across the company, across all the different products in order to add value to my client. So basically, it's a job that is very dynamic, a lot of movement. You have to really have a lot of energy, and very importantly, you have to work as a team to make sure you're very, very much working sometimes in a very short period of time, bringing solutions that your client need, and also sometimes, bringing solutions that are not yet in the market. So it's a very also innovative type of role. So that's why I like it. It keeps me on my toes. So it's very, very exciting type of role.
That's very interesting, especially since you have to be coordinating all of these team members, right, to be able to provide the exceptional service to your clients. Now, tell us how did you enter this industry? Because not everyone knows, right? Or if you don't know anyone that could introduce you to it, you most likely not end up in it. I mean, it sounds like common sense, right?
But yeah, no, absolutely. And to be honest, financial services, when I first entered it, I entered it by coincidence. So I studied in college Latin American Studies and International Business, which was a double major. But I wasn't yet clear when I graduated from college that I wanted to end up working in a bank. When I first graduated, I didn't have a job. That's actually the honest truth. I had a very high GPA, very successful in college, very involved in the community. But at that time, which was the 2000, there was a bubble, the tech bubble burst, if you guys remember, and there was no jobs. There was a crisis going on. However, I met someone that used to work at American Express Bank. His name was Gordon Just, who at that time became my mentor and gave me an opportunity to work as a temp at American Express Bank. So American Express Bank used to be an international bank owned by American Express, and they opened all these banks globally in order to do businesses of American Express, to have local licenses. So I entered this world of financial services, not really something that I intended to do, but once I entered it, I realized that's what I was meant to do. And why? Because I always been someone that liked to work with people, to build relationships, not just in the short term, but also in the long term, to help, to proactively help and find solutions for my friends, for my clients, for absolutely anyone. So I think this type of role of relationship manager, of corporate banker, or a role in financial services could be a great fit for anyone that has that set of skills, personal skills, sales skills, someone that's always looking for innovative solutions, that's thinking out of the box, that can work as a team player. If you have any of those set of skills, you'll be able to add a lot of value in financial services, and you actually can do really well. So I encourage anyone that has those top skills to look at it. The great thing about working on a bank in financial services, for example, a bank like Bank of America, is that as a universal bank, you have absolutely everything under the same umbrella. So today I do corporate banking, but in Bank of America, we also have consumer banking, we have technology, we have private banking, we also have investments. So there's a little bit of everything. So you can really fit in. You don't necessarily have to be an expert in financing or an expert in accounting to go into financial services.
Or be an expert or know a lot of math, right?
Exactly, because or know a lot of math.
Because a lot of the students think that because you're in finance that you
Correct.
have to be excellent in math, and
Correct.
it really doesn't. So you had mentioned different positions.
Correct.
So.
You don't really have to. It would be great if you are, but you don't really have to. So basically, when I started my career, as I mentioned, I started through American Express, where American Express Bank, which I was there for 7 years. I was covering North America, and then I joined JP Morgan for another 7 years, where I was covering Latin American clients. My last job in JP Morgan before I joined Bank of America Merrill Lynch was based in Mexico, where I actually lived in Mexico for almost...
You actually lived in Mexico?
Yes,
Where?
I did.
Oh my God, that is so exciting.
I did. I lived in Mexico, and I was the head of financial institutions, non-bank FIs, and public sector. And it was one of the most scary things I'd done in my career, but it was a great opportunity not just to get a promotion, but also to be really immersed into the culture of Mexico, really understanding the local dynamics of Mexico and what an amazing country it is. It's an amazing country.
So where were you, in DF?
I was in El DF. I lived in Polanco. I also worked really close to where I lived, so it was really
convenient.
And my clients were locally, so I didn't have a lot of travel, which was also convenient.
So tell me, before you move further, because I think, and I know that when we're single, we take risk and we take opportunities, but that was such a big change coming from a young lady from Long Island to work at American Express, and then all of a sudden take this opportunity that comes up in Mexico.
Yes.
Like, talk to us about that shift.
So I went from American Express. Every time I feel comfortable and I feel that I'm not learning enough, or I feel I'm getting a little bit bored, I'm always raising my hand and asking for more. That's just my personality. I'm always trying to stretch
which
my
a lot
knowledge.
of us women have a problem with asking for more, right?
Correct.
Or
and we should, because just
bold.
because you ask for it doesn't mean they're going to give them to you, the opportunities. So you should not be shy. You should always ask for more. And I basically, through my entire career, I always raised my hand for stretch assignments, for additional opportunities that would enable me to grow. And then that's why I moved from American Express Bank to JP Morgan, because I wanted to do Latin American. I was covering North America, and I wanted to cover, my passion was Latin American. So I went to cover Latin America at JP Morgan. And then once I was there, I was in New York, then I moved to Miami, where I was responsible for the entire region, Latin America, for 2 years. Then I moved to Mexico City with this last job. Basically, I couldn't have done that, and I couldn't have done all the steps, obviously, if I didn't have the great partnership and the great support system that I had. So I have a great husband, right? I was married, and I gotta say, very lucky, because I had a great husband that supported me to go there. But I also always was very focused throughout my entire career. It's to make sure to take risks. Unless you take risks, you don't take rewards, right? So it was scary. It was very scary. I was the first director, female, right, in Mexico City, called that with that type of role. But there's something that I learned, and I will always take away, is that you really can do anything you set your mind to. Even if it's scary, you can work it out, you can make it work. After that, when I was in Mexico City, I realized, my end goal, my dream was to be a corporate banker. And I wanted that type of role. So I went and reached out to my network, and that's when I was invited to join Bank of America to be a corporate banker. Corporate banking is something that I prepare myself for. And one of the reasons why I went and did an MBA, an executive MBA at Kellogg Northwestern, because I wanted to expand my career and do more than I was currently doing as in Treasury Services at the time, which was corporate banking. So corporate banking opportunity that I have now in Bank of America, it's an opportunity that I learn something new every single day. So before I was just covering Latin America for the first few years, and now I'm covering basically Europe, Spain, Italy, which is amazing brands, amazing companies, and I get to travel around Europe, but very much also learning about those cultures and how do we work, the dynamics, right, of dealing with companies from Europe, very different than dynamics of dealing with companies from Latin America. So having that expansion of knowledge every single day, for me, it's very rewarding and very interesting. So
that is incredible.
So
because it is a different big dynamic from Latin America, although men, corporate, right? Because there's always men in corporate, and they're majority men in corporate. So being a Latina, right, and female, working and shaking the whole thing from Latin America to Europe, it's quite intimidating for them, no?
Well, I think it's intimidating depending on the way you look at it.
Of course, but I mean from someone so.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think sometimes, many times, when I speak to young women in this industry or students are trying to apply to internships, they're always concerned about that topic. Am I going to be intimidated? Is it scary to be the only one that looks like you, that sound like you in the room? And I got to tell you, that's the same for all fields, right? It's actually a fact that
male-dominated fields.
Yeah, exactly. That most of the fields are male-dominated. So we have to, as females, professionals, very much have security about ourselves, right? And be making sure that we're the best at what we do. Regardless if you're female or male, give the best of your abilities, give the best to your clients, make sure you're known for where your traits are versus your female and male. And given that you're at that point in time when you become being the best at what you do, you're going to have that self-security, right? Self-assurance, that confidence. So when you walk into the room, you won't feel intimidated, right? Because you will feel that you deserve to have a seat in the table. But that comes with the prepreration, right?
I was going to say that, which I'm glad you said that.
That comes
because
with a lot of preparation.
Not everyone, I mean, we've discussed different types of where we as women have a lot of fear, no? Especially working in the workplace and in the workplace and asking, which we all do have a problem with that. And I think that's something that's cultural as well. But it doesn't happen overnight. And tell me, I want to hear more about how you were able to build those muscles of that confidence, because it doesn't grow overnight.
It doesn't grow overnight, and you have to work on it every single day. So every single day, as I mentioned, my job is very dynamic, and I have to learn every single day things that I don't know. So the first thing is that you need to accept what you don't know. And you cannot be intimidated by that or upset that you don't know a topic. You cannot be an expert on absolutely anything. But what you must accept, which is something that not a lot of people do, is that you don't know. And then reach out to the network, reach out to your colleagues, reach out to your mentors, and get guidance in coaching on whatever it is, whether it's a product or whether it's to handle a situation with a client or with a colleague. That's very important, to really accept what you don't know and reach out for help. That has worked for me very well. I never pretend to know everything. I never pretend to sit on a silo. I'm built up I'm not on an island, right? I'm not built up on an island. I'm here where I am thanks to the help of absolutely everybody. So preparation is very important, knowing what you don't know and getting prepared for that. Also, continue working on your skill sets. Okay, just because you get a job and you have a job doesn't mean you stay there. Continue investing on your education. If you have a bachelor's, try to go after your master's. Mm-hmm. If you have a master's, try to go for your MBA. If you're in your current role, try to take classes that can enhance your current role. That is something that I learned from my mother when I was very young. She told me that education was very important, and it was really the route to success. And she really very much told me by action. She always was taking classes. She was always, she had a master's, like 2-3 masters back in the Dominican Republic. But I was always wondering why my mother keep going back to college, right? Why she keeps doing that? But she was doing it because she really wanted to build up a better future for her and her family. And by you obtaining a good education and all the skill sets that you may need, you have the opportunity to then knock on the doors, apply for those different jobs, the type of jobs that you may not think that you're ready yet, but you'll be able to get them because you have those skill sets thanks to the education. So to me, preparation is very, very important.
So did you always knew that you wanted to pursue finance? I know that you spoke briefly on it, but did you know when you were in college that you wanted to pursue
No, I didn't know I wanted to pursue banking. I knew I wanted to pursue international business. I was always interested in exports and imports, commerce, businesses, international history. I was always very intrigued about learning about other countries, right? Other people's backgrounds, etc. So I knew that I wanted to do something with international. I wasn't sure if it was banking. Like I explained, I fell in banking by coincidence, but it's something that I tell you, you have an opportunity to reinvent yourself anytime you want because it's so broad. So many different things you can do. But yeah, it's not something that I had in my mind since ninth grade in high school or my first year in college. Absolutely not. My college friends can testify to that. I had no clue what I wanted to do back in college, but I got there little by little.
So tell us about yourself. You were raised in the Dominican Republic and you immigrated to the United States at age 15?
Yes. So I'm Dominicana, hasta la maceta. Proud Dominican. I came to the States to live with my aunt Ada Garcia, and left my family behind. But it was not by choice. My mother passed away from cancer, and unfortunately, she passed away all of a sudden. And as a typical, very strong Dominican family, my aunts, which were my mother's sister, together with my grandmother, decided that the best thing for me and my brother was to move here to the States to live with my Aunt Ada, who was the only one that only had one child.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
So she came. They brought us here, and they gave us the news that you were staying here. But at that time, it was very challenging for me and my brother because imagine, we not only Dominican Republic left our family behind, but we were coming to live to Shelter Island, which is a beautiful island, beautiful
outside
people.
Of Long Island,
yeah,
by the way.
very far
Shelter
away.
Island is beautiful.
It's beautiful. But we ended up coming to a high school where we were I was the only Latina there, and the entire high school, which was 75 kids, very small high school. But then my family was the first Latino family in the entire community. And I didn't speak a word of English, so I remember only knowing to say nice to meet you. So hopefully my ESL teacher, she's probably watching this, Terry Picasso, she's probably very proud right now because she took a lot of time teaching me how to speak English. But yeah, it was at the beginning, it was very challenging times. But I have to tell you, I was very fortunate because the community, Shelter Island community, was a great community to us. They supported us, they helped us. In high school, I had a focus, which was education. I wanted it to go to college. I wanted to make my mother's dream come true, which is for her kids to go to college. And even if I didn't speak a word of English, I was determined I was going to go to college. And with the help of the counselors in the high school, the principal, they helped me and guide me how to apply to college. And now, because of that, I think I'm very fortunate because I know that many schools, especially public schools, don't have those resources. Many kids do want a better life for themselves, do want to go to college, but don't know how to apply to schools, how to do the applications, how to get a scholarship. So for those out there, now it's so much better than 20 years ago. Now you have everything on the web. So you have a lot of more tools than back then. But don't give up on the hope to go to college. I think going to college should be #1 priority for those that are young. And back then, like I said, I went to college with, thank God as well, to the HEOP, which is Higher Education Opportunity Program, which was funded by New York City or New York State back then, and was almost a full ride.
Wow.
So thanks to that, I was able to go because my family had very limited resources. But again, I was focused. I wanted to go to school. I wanted to make my mother's dream come true. And I want to create a better life for me and my family. And that's how I end up here.
That is fantastic. Now, tell me, wow. I'm just still stuck on Shelter Island.
Shelter Island, moving there.
So tell us, I think it's fascinating when you were able to find that opportunity. And yes, it takes a village for us to be or get to where we want to. And thank God for those angels that he was able to put in your life. But tell me about, you was just telling me the story of how you landed that particular job at American Express.
Yeah, so that's a very funny story. So I think I shared with you that I didn't have a job. So I was on panic mode. I remember like yesterday driving my Honda Civic, a small Honda Civic, back home, graduating from college with no job, and calling my aunt, Ada, and saying, crying, Tia, I don't have a job. I don't know what to do with my life. And she's like, what do you mean? Of course you have a place, you know what to do with your life. You will figure it out, don't worry. And I said, well, what do I do? Where do I go now? And she said, well, whenever you don't know where to go, you just come home.
Aww.
And at that time, I was like, oh my God, she's always right. I have to go home. So I basically turned my car around and I drove back to Shelter Island. And I will never forget that even if I was very disappointed with myself that I didn't get the big tech job in corporate America, I didn't give up on that dream. And I was very fortunate that when I went back home, I went to work for the Chiquet, which was the restaurant that I work every single summer. And the owners, managers at that time, the Eklunds, they were so nice to me. And they're like, Patty, you graduated from college, so now we're going to make you the manager. So that summer, even if I was disappointed that I didn't have a corporate job, I was excited because I was the manager now. And I learned a lot of skills, managing skills.
Oh my God, that's great, especially in that setting.
Yeah, that was very useful.
Where you're able to delegate, which prepared you for what you're doing now to work with a team.
So I took a lot of, I learned a lot from Linda Eklund and from managing the business, which skills that I could take to my corporate job. But the message that I want to send is that moment, I was disappointed with myself. I was disappointed with life because I didn't have a job in corporate America, but I didn't give up on my hope.
That's great.
So every single table that I wait on, I was a waitress. I took the advantage to tell my story. I'm Dominican, I just graduated, I have a 3.8 GPA, and I don't have a job. I'm looking for an opportunity. And every single table, it was very funny because every single table always asked me, what is your accent, where are you from? People are always wondering my life story. So I had that opportunity, so I spoke. So one table was sitting down Gordon Juice, which he turned out to be the head of American Express Bank.
Oh, wow.
For Americas. And basically, his aunt put him on the spot right there and say, my nephew here, he's the head of American Express Bank. He can help you. And my eyes just wide open, and I was so excited. And I basically made that connection with him. He gave me his business card. And he said, I don't have any full-time jobs right now, but let's catch up. Let's get to know. Let me see your CV. But maybe we can find you a temp job. And I said, absolutely. Thank you so much.
That was like an angel in the sky.
Correct.
That the head of American Express was
in Western Hemisphere. Yeah, it was right there. But I learned a lot from that experience because you never know who you're going to run into. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we don't even want to hold a conversation with anyone. Mm-hmm. And you never know, just like somebody can help you, you can help someone. Mm-hmm. So I think it's very important to to build that network and continue investing on your network and sharing your story. So at the end of the day, one of the key takeaways as well from that experience it was that I wanted an opportunity to come into American Express, even if it was a temp. Nowadays, I see a lot of young millennials that they want the top job right away. I think you guys, all of us, right, have to think about taking a step-by-step approach.
There's no elevator to success.
Correct. And I was just eager to learn, and that's what I told him. And I think that's why he was able and willing, right, to give me an opportunity, because I was willing to learn, and all I wanted was an opportunity to learn. And once I came in, I had to prove myself, right? I had to be the first one in the office, the last one to leave. I had to make sure that I actually proved myself with my work ethic. My work ethic really helped me because I didn't really have any banking experience. And I was the analyst for like 7 different relationship managers. And it was right after 9/11. So it was really chaotic times that you had to learn a lot really fast, but you had to really have the willingness to roll off your sleeve and work. If you think you're going to come in and day one, get the big job, that's not going to work. You have to build your credibility, and you have to work. You really have to work really hard.
Yeah, and those are very key. Those are key. No, it's true, because they don't. I mean, no one thinks that J-Lo had to go through a series of a process to get to where she is today.
And a lot of work to get to where they are
and to be
today.
where you are, traveling globally and handling all these international accounts. That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible.
So I mean, from that experience, Gordon just became my mentor. He was very high up there, so I got to work with also a lot of colleagues at the time. Hopefully Gabriela is looking to the live video. Gabriela Crespo, who also became one of my mentors. She was one of the few females at the time, bankers, and she taught me a lot, and also invested a lot of time in me as a female. Young Latina. I really did not know how to even dress in corporate America, to be honest. I did not know how to really make a presentation. I mean, nowadays, the colleges prepare you so much better. I tell my interns and my students that I mentor, I'm like, you're so lucky. You have all these tools nowadays.
It's true.
You're so much well prepared than I was when I started. So imagine what you can conquer and what can you get. By the time you're my age, you'd be superstar, right? Because they come really prepared. But like I was telling you, it takes a village, right? And my desire to learn, my desire to be open of what I don't know, right? And to reach out.
And you were very determined to what you wanted.
To reach out, yes. It helped people wanted to help me because and mentor me and guide me, because I was willing to ask for help. That's another very important thing through your entire career. Your career is not a marathon. And I'm not really at the end of my career. I still have 20 probably more years to go. But even right now where I am today, I think about what's next for me. You need to reach out to folks. You have to ask for help, and you have to be self-aware. Self-awareness is very important, and for the younger generation, that's something that I see also folks need to focus on. What are your weaknesses, and how can you work on that? And who can you reach out to help you on that? That's very important.
I think that we all come to that.
Yeah.
But the good thing is that find help. A lot of people don't do that.
Yeah.
They try to figure out themselves. Oh my God, this is so fascinating.
I think I can talk for hours, so I don't know how much more we have.
Now, this is great. Now, what were the words of those mentors, of those people, the village that helped you? What were the words that encouraged you to push forward when, like your aunt, you said you always know where to come. You could come home.
Yes.
What were other encouraging words from those mentors that helped you like continue and push forward?
Absolutely. So my Aunt Ada and my Aunt Virginia and my Margarita, they are my mother's 3 sisters, and they've always been throughout my entire life. My Aunt Ada is basically my mother because she raised me. She helped me and ended up raising me. But she always they are very strong females, very strong females. They always believe that I have the capability or the capacity to do absolutely everything I set my mind to.
Wow.
And once I said I want to go to college, there was a lot of doubts in my family. How is Patricia going to pay for college? There's no money. Once I wanted to get a job traveling, how some people in my family were like, how is Patricia going to be traveling around the world and by herself? She's a female, she's a Latina, right? Then once I decided to take this job in Mexico, my aunts were basically, you're going to go take that job in Mexico. Yes, you can. One of us is going to go move with you and help you with Sofia, my daughter, and help you and Davis, with this whole traveling. You're going to be able to do it. Once I decided to do my executive MBA, they also came in and chipped in and helped. So they were always there to support me through this journey, but they always encouraged me to do more, right? To go for my dreams. And whether that's your aunts or your family, whatever it may be, that's the voices that you need to hear, because life is full of negativity. There's a lot of people that call me crazy all the time because I'm always asking and for additional assignments and additional things to do. And many people doubt me, and many people through my entire career told me, no, you cannot. So I have decided very, very early on to live my life listening to the positive voices, to the encouraging voices.
Say that again, please. That is very important.
I always listen to the encouraging voices, the voices of folks and people, including myself sometimes, that tells me, yes, you can move forward. So my family, I am very blessed because I have very strong females in my family that have told me also by their own actions that the sky is the limit, including my mother, who passed away very early age, but she has always been my muse and my family's muse. She was a very strong, persistent woman, very, very well-educated woman, and she chose that circumstances are only circumstances. And the reason why I say that is because my family, we were very, very poor when we were in the Dominican Republic. But my mother decided very early on that was just the circumstances. And just because they were poor at that time, we were not going to stay poor. And that's when she went back to school and did one master and a second master and a third master, applied for this job, another job. And before she passed away, she was actually a banker.
Wow.
Which back then, that did not exist. No. A female banker in Banco Central de la República Dominicana. So basically, she taught us that. She taught all of us and her sister. She was the oldest sister. She told all her sisters that you go after your dreams no matter what. And then throughout my career, my mentors, I being Gordon Juice, who became my mentor. Even after I left American Express, I stay in touch with him until this day. He's actually the godfather of my daughter. Oh. And he has become like a second father to me. But through his mentorship, he always believed in my capability. And he was always very much motivating me to pursue my dreams and pursue that additional assignment or the new job, and also giving me feedback, which is very important.
Feedbacks are always important.
We're not perfect. We all have areas where to work on, and we need, sometimes we're not even aware of those things. And having a mentor or sponsor that supports that and gives you that input, that real input that even sometimes you don't want to really accept, it's very important, so you can change it and rectify it. So I have Gordon, I have, a lot of folks throughout my entire career that has always, been there and helped me through it. But I have asked for help. Like I said in the beginning, I ask people for advice. I ask for coffee, and if I don't know something, I ask questions, and simply also ask, how can I help them? Because mentorship should not be a one-way street.
It should be
and that's something very important. What you give is that what you get. And you should be, for those that are listening, you should also invest time in building those relationships. Because just because you don't need a job right now or need any input or any kind of new information right now doesn't mean you don't need it later. Maybe they need you. It has to be a two-way street, right? And we should all support one another, especially in this community, right? The Latino Hispanic community. We should definitely...
Which is not so common.
Correct. We should definitely
It has changed, though, I must say that.
Yeah, we're very much growing, and we're the fastest growing population right now, and we have the fastest purchasing power. right now. So as Hispanic Latinos, we're emerging to become a very powerful community, but we need to stick together and we need to help one another. So in my view, mentorship is a two-way street. We should invest time building those relationships and not just asking, but also providing. And even if you're junior, even if you're younger, you can always find some way to help. Whether it's by teaching someone older how to do a Twitter, right? Or how to use Facebook or Instagram, I don't know. Or you even use the iPad or the computer. Yeah. There's always something
especially
that you...
our aunts and
my aunts, exactly. My siblings.
Like, yeah, no, it's not
that's not that way. Or the banking account, use a banking account online. You don't have to physically go to the branch. Use mobile, you know.
So you had mentioned mentor and sponsor. Could you tell the difference between a mentor and a sponsor?
Yeah, absolutely. So mentors could be anyone, right? A mentor, it's someone that can help you and guide you and provide you advice on absolutely anything you may need, personal or professional, right? The concept sponsor is slightly different, and it's used in corporate America a lot when we're talking about executives that have a position that can help you get promoted or get the next assignment or the next career opportunity, right? And basically, a sponsor is someone that advocates on your behalf when you're not in the room, that will fight with whoever it is they have to fight on your behalf. And those sponsors are critical in careers, and that's especially nowadays that we're focusing a lot on diversity and inclusion.
Because no one wants to take a risk.
Exactly, and we're focusing a lot on female development and diversity and inclusion development. We must have sponsors, right, to advocate for us, right, especially at the top ranks, to advocate for us to go up the ladder. But how do we build those relationships is the tricky part.
Please tell us how.
No, I don't have the perfect answer. I don't have the perfect answer, but I have to tell you that...
From your experience.
From my experience, what I have seen and what I've done is to do my job right. The first key is to do your job right, to make sure that you're performing, that you're delivering what is expected of you, not just what is expected, but going above expectations. Then to add value, right, to add additional value, whether it's diversity and inclusion, or whatever is additional thing you can do in addition to your day-to-day job, because that creates a brand about yourself and a positive brand. And once you have that positive brand, executives that are on the top are going to notice you. You're going to be noticeable. And once you're noticeable, then those folks on the top, somebody's going to make a connection. And you don't have to wait for somebody to make a connection with you. You need to proactively make a connection with them, whether it's by, like in my case, what I've done in the past throughout the entire career is I'm always part of employee resource group, for example, right? I'm always go to women's councils. I always work on non-for-profit. I always do community service. So through all those entire volunteer work and additional things that I do in my day-to-day job, I'm able to meet a lot of executives and a lot of folks that have become throughout the years my sponsors. Even if sometimes I didn't even realize they were acting as my sponsors. I just learned they were advocating for me for whatever reason, in whatever case, when I was not in the room. So little by little, that's how you build the sponsors. And sometimes there's this healthy debate, especially in the high ranks, should we demand for females, right, to have a sponsor? Should that be done at the HR level, right? There's always those discussions, and maybe that will help more females to get more senior roles, right? And in my view, sometimes that helps, but sometimes that doesn't, right? Because a sponsor relationship should be, at least for my experience, should be a natural relationship, a relationship that you build based on trust, based on knowing each other. That person really needs to know your work, what you have delivered, your performance, your day-to-day, but as well you as a human being, right? Who you are. And unless you have that personal, that interaction with each other, it's very challenging for someone to really advocate to the level that you really need, especially when you're at those high ranks, right?
That is fantastic. And thank you so much for breaking that down to us, because
it's very, very confusing sometimes, mentor versus
That's why I asked you. I'm like, okay, let her expand more on that. Now, did you ever have anyone that told you would never make it or you're not good enough at any of these, throughout your professional
throughout my
trajectory.
almost 19 years, yes, of course. I was telling you there's voices, right? There's negative voices. Through my entire career, I think everybody goes through that. I think everybody...
What was your reaction?
I think everybody goes through... I'm going to laugh because my friends are going to laugh at this as well. They always know when somebody tells me no, I'm like, oh, yes, we're going for that. So when somebody tells me no, you cannot, I'm going to tell... I always said, watch me. I'm going to get it done. So for me... You know, we call it negativity feedback, you know, people discouraging you, or people, sometimes the young people say hating on you. I take that and use it in convert it into fueling, a positive fuel for my desire, right, to conquer whatever it is that I want to conquer, and motivation to stay focused. So when I was in high school, I was told by many of, you know, students, you know, young people, that I was called names, I was bullied, I was told, why you bothering, you're never going to get into school.
Oh, wow.
When I was in college, right, even my dean at the time told me, you know, I studied abroad in American University of Rome, and she told me, how dare you want to go to study abroad? You don't even speak English good enough.
Wow.
You have to stay here in New York. And I'm like, no, I'm studying abroad. This is actually the best thing I ever done. If anybody wants to do that, you should do it. I studied abroad. So then you know, when I wanted to work in corporate America, throughout my entire career, every time I raised my hand, or not every time, but through the entire career, just like you have people encouraging you, yes, you can. There has always been some very few people that have told me, Patty, you're rushing, you know, you're running too fast, or you want to conquer the world,
oh, wow.
or you want to do too much, or you're a mother, you want to also be a mother, a wife, a work, you know, a corporate banker. You want to do too much. You know, there's a lot of folks that are always giving their opinion, but exactly, that's just their opinion. Their opinion, or their perception, or their input about what are you doing should not really impact you or should bother you. You should just stay focused on a mission.
That's such a strong word.
Stay focused. That's what I do. And like I said, I turn those voices down, because even myself, and that nobody talks about it. We have two voices in our head. We always have the voice that say, yes, you can, you're the best. And then we have this little annoying voice that tells us, oh my God, you don't know anything. You're too small, or absolutely, you cannot get that MD job or whatever job. Absolutely, you cannot. So we have to turn down that voice, that negative voice. Yeah. Turn it down. Even if it's there, turn it down. And just focus on listening to the positive encouragement from yourself and from those around you. And that's what I try my best to do. Some days, you know, you have to listen to that crazy voice, but then I move on really quickly. I try to move on really quickly.
Thank you for sharing that. That is quite amazing. And that is actually very true. Let's quiet those voices down. No, it's true. Now, tell us what keeps you striving. What keeps you striving? What keeps you, you've mentioned how you have, I wouldn't say conquered, because you have more to do.
Yeah, I have 20 more years to go, and a lot of things to conquer.
But you have come such a long way.
Thank you.
And that's very, that's something that our audience, that our youth could actually look up to and say, if Patty made it, I can do it too.
Yeah,
and, you know,
so what keeps me striving? I think for the youth and for the youngsters, especially the young Latinas out there, I really believe that you need to know what you want to do, right? And basically you need to set goals. And through my entire life, whether we're personal or professional, I always have set goals, and I always set plans towards those goals. And I always try to find the pieces that can help me get towards those goals. And of course, what keeps me striving is my family, right? I was, in the beginning of my life, I was always motivated by my mother, by my aunts. Then now I'm motivated by my family, my husband and my daughter. I have a daughter that I want her to have an example and to look up and say, you know, if mommy was insane, right? She accomplished everything she wanted to accomplish. I can also do so when I grow up. So that's what I want to leave behind. I want to leave behind a legacy where my daughter can see with my actions that just because I'm a female doesn't mean I cannot go after my dreams, whether they're in corporate America or even my personal dreams. Anything that you set your mind to, you can accomplish that if you work hard, if you're focused, and very importantly, if you continue the path of asking for help, and also helping those that are also around you and behind you. So that strikes me. And the last thing I like to tell you is,
what did you wish before? Because I think you're gonna answer.
Yeah.
That you wish you did anything different.
Oh yeah. That I can. I need another hour to share how many other things I could have done differently.
Briefly.
I think I could have been a little bit more patient when I was younger. I could have believed in myself a little bit more. Confidence is something that I learned throughout the years, but you need to be confident. Early on, I was sometimes hesitant to ask for that assignment. Like when I was younger, before I got married, I could have taken a lot of jobs internationally. When I was American Express, I could have raised my hand and say, hey, I could go to India, or I could go to China, or I could go to London. I was very shy about raising my hand for those type of international roles when I was early on. And the other thing, I was very impatient and critical of myself. So I was always, anytime I made a small mistake when I was younger, I was always really critical about myself. And others, even my bosses at the time, is like, Patty, it's not a big deal. It's okay. You just live and learn and you move on. I would keep going at it. Oh my God, I could have done that different. And now it's just, I have learned to self-forgive, right? And just move on, Yes, probably.
Which is very important.
That meeting maybe not gone that well. Now I learned from it. Now next meeting I will do a little bit better. Before I was very critical of myself, and there's enough critics out there. You don't need that. And the last thing I will say is, what I would have done different, I would have definitely invested in more networking early on in my career. I would have leveraged a lot of other resources that I know now I didn't know it existed back then. Back then I didn't know it existed Alpha, for example, or Nashemba, or SEO. All those different associations that are incredible and that can be really, they can help you transform your life night and day when you're going into financial services or banking. It's very important to
And
to
tell
leverage.
us about the LNC. You're one of the co-founding members of LNC, which
Correct.
is great. And then you help to open more OLA chapters.
Correct.
As
So
well.
from diversity, so now, where I am now and what I do now, so Latino Networks Coalition, I'm one of the co-founder board members, and basically it's a coalition of Latino employee networks across top 500 Fortune companies, basically companies across Wall Street. And we created it many years ago, about 7 years ago. And it was based from friends, right? We will always get together and share with each other best practices of what we were doing in each other's companies to help with diversity, to help with the development of the Latino talent within our companies.
Which is great.
And that's how it started, getting together informally. And then we made this formal coalition, which has been around for 7 years, and it has been great because not only we share each other's best practices, but we do events together. And we have open doors for many, many students and many colleagues across the different institutions to learn from each other's companies, but also to network. Network is critical. I cannot tell you. It's more important than we could ever think of. And my focus in the Latino Networks Coalition is being coinciding with my focus on diversity and inclusion. Like I mentioned, I didn't get here by myself. I got here now as a senior director in corporate banking, thanks to the help of the community, of the village, right? So I cannot forget where I come from, and I feel that I have a strong responsibility to give back, to do whatever I can to help the Latino, Hispanic community within the bank to continue growing and developing and conquering whatever dreams we may have. But very importantly, focusing in helping the young generation that's coming behind me, right, to open doors for them, to help them get trained and help them build that network they need.
And thank you for that, because we all need that. And and we need to continue to push our generations to come forward.
Correct.
And thank you for starting that, because I know that you, as well as other members of your network were able to create that. But we almost are out of time.
Oh yeah,
and we cannot end. We cannot end without doing the Bellas Fashionistas in 7. So that's really an opportunity where we talk about fashion, right?
Fashion.
Who's dressing you today? Whose shoes are you wearing today? So this is very quick, okay? Because we only have a few minutes.
Okay.
So who dresses you?
Today. This is Ann Taylor, actually. Put my shoes on Salvatore Ferragamo.
No, wait. We'll get to the shoes soon.
Okay.
Who is your favorite fashion designer?
Oscar de la Renta and Angel Sanchez.
Top female fashion designer.
Man, I just met this amazing Dominican fashion designer on the Latino fashion designer. What's her name again? Senia. See, she's amazing. I love her. Yeah.
Senia, shout out to you. Fashion icon.
Jennifer Lopez. She's very fashionista. So.
Top shoe designer.
Salvatore Ferragamo.
Yes, look at her shoes, everyone.
Nice.
Top 5 dress codes. So we'll go from A through E, okay? So it's dresses or pants?
Dresses.
Blazer or no blazer?
Blazer.
Yes. Stilettos or thick heel?
Definitely stilettos.
When you're not in work clothes, you are in?
Sweats.
Makeup or no makeup?
I like makeup, except if I have a gala or a function, yeah. I do my makeup, but not really.
So when you're home, you wear makeup or no?
When I'm home, I don't wear makeup, no.
Okay. That's very fantastic. Oh my God, that is so awesome. So did you like that? Because that's like very quick.
Yeah, that was really fast. I hope I answered correctly.
No, but you told us who dresses you and all that stuff, which is great.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for giving us this opportunity. You have a tremendous trajectory. And I think that we could have a lot of youth to be able to see our interviews today and be able to actually see that and grow from that. And you raised so many important key points, which are very important, which are ask a lot of questions, look for mentors. I wrote them down, as you can see. Do your job right and be proactive, which is very important because you never know who's watching you.
Yeah.
And I was very thankful that you were able to break down from the sponsor and the mentor, right? Mm-hmm. Because those are two different things. I didn't understand it until I had attended a Prospanica New York event, and I'm like, what? Sponsor? It's not money. No, it's not necessarily. So I think that these are the key things that our youth today, especially our high schoolers, our middle schoolers, could actually see this and see that there's Latina like you shaken in the corporate ladder, in the financial industry. And I just want to thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Thank you because
thank you for having me.
You have come a long way. And those are the things that we need to be able to showcase to our youth. And not only our youth, because we also have Latinas who have no idea what they want to do, but hearing your story, they learned a lot from you today. Yes, so leverage school education. These are the keywords that I have written down. And I've said what you don't know in preparation, which is important. And never give up, right?
Mm-hmm. Never give up.
And I love the way that you were able to say, turn on the switch when you hear all these negative voices.
Yes, indeed. Turn them down. Just hear the positive voices.
Where do you see yourself in 20 years?
Whew. That is a question that
I know it's a lot, but let's go from 5 to 10 and 20. What is next for you, in other words?
I think next for me, I'm working towards my promotion to managing director, towards that, and hopefully soon that would come true. And then, of course, my dream is to be the head of a line of business, which is where I'm focused and working towards one day. But 20 years from now, how old am I going to be? I'm going to be, okay, almost retiring. I'm not going to say how old I am. But I would like to, once I retire, I would like to work and give back, right? On most likely be on the board of a non-for-profit. I hope to be in a place in my life at that time, if we're still alive, to be able to really give back to the community. I think I will be very happy doing that, and that's my goal, to be on the board of a non-for-profit and make a bigger impact in the community, especially the Hispanic Latino community. That's what I'm striving towards.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
That's the plan. Who knows what?
So how can we help more Latina get a seat at the table?
I think, like I mentioned, the first preparation, right? Encouraging all of us to apply for the schools. Many times Latinas, especially Latinas, we get all these voices around our families, what we're supposed to look like, what we're supposed to behave like, what we're supposed to do with our lives. Many times we're told, get a husband, get married, and that's it. That's not really, you don't allow absolutely anyone to kind of tell you what to do. Come up with your own plans and your own dreams and really believe in them and prepare and go after an education. Education, whether you decide to create a family later on, but you have your education. Nobody can take that away from you. And that's very key. Even if you get married and have children and have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, you have an education and something you can go back to get a job if you need to help your family. So education is very important, and go after your dreams. That's the second message, and be bold. Latinas, we didn't talk about this, but I had a discussion, a panel a couple years ago where we talk about multicultural women, especially Latinas, all this unconscious bias about us, but all the realities about us. We have absolutely everything it takes to be successful. We have the drive, we have the energy, we have the hard work ethics, we're funny, we're talented, we're personable. Everybody wants to be around us. Latinas, we got what it takes to be successful. So we just really have to take that in. Believe in ourselves and really help each other, build that network, as I mentioned, to get to those goals. And that's really the message I will give those Latinas out there.
No, you had a strong foundation which helped you push forward.
Correct.
And I see you as following your mom's footsteps, her being a banker, getting all these masters, and look at you. You're, I wouldn't say la copia de tu madre.
Yeah. But by the way, it was a coincidence because I realized she was a banker just recently.
Oh my God.
I thought she was a teacher, and then my aunts told me, Patty, your mother, at the last job she had at Banco Central de la República Dominicana, which was her dream job, it was actually lending money to the agriculture, folks in Dominican Republic, the farmers. And I'm like, guys, that's a banker. So my family didn't realize my mother was a banker. So she was actually lending money to farmers in Dominican Republic. So by coincidence of life, I end up being a banker just like my mother. But most importantly, I think...
and that is fantastic.
Yeah, but most importantly, I think, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but the most importantly, I think it's that I took away from my mother is the focus, right? The desire to do always better. The desire to turn down those negative voices and to be focused towards my goals, no matter what happens.
And I want to thank you for that.
Yeah.
And I know that we're running out of time, and this has to go into another interview, guys, until another day. But I want to thank each and one of you for joining us today. I hope that you were able to take so much information from Patty. Isn't she exciting? I just feel like continuing to talk to her. But thank you. Please stay tuned for next week's 4th episode and last episode of Bellas Trailblazer Series as we welcome a Latina in construction, guys, a field engineer. Do not miss it. Follow us on our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube at Bellas Fashionistas, and our Instagram at Bella_Fashionistas. In addition to our media partner, BronxNet, please do visit them as well on Facebook, as our streamlined interviews are going to be coming out. And you could follow them on YouTube at BronxNet.tv. Follow us and visit our websites, please, at bellafashionistas.com and also bronxnet.org. See you soon, and thank you for joining us today. Bye-bye.